Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for being here this morning.
Let's go, let's go. Oh, let's start this show. King Roman News gonna come right through. Gonna give you that news just like you know he can do. Hot topics in your face, baby. King Roman knows his place, baby. King Roman News.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
6:30 a.m. Eastern time, baby. He's gonna come right on time with the news just for you. Celebrity news, politics, and local news just for you. King Roman News. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Let's go, let's go. Hey, let's start this show. King Roman News, coming just for you. King Roman News, coming just for you. 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. King Roman News, King Roman News. Let's go. Hey, let's start this show. Let's go, let's go. Oh, let's start this show.
This show. Good morning. Good morning, crew. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday morning. It is November 7th. It is one day before midterm elections. And I am here to do exactly what I chose to do, which is inform and let you all know what's going on with the election, specifically the black vote. My whole purpose of today's live is that by the end of this live, you know why it is important for the black vote in whatever neighborhood I'm talking about for you to go out and vote. So that is the purpose of today's live. I'm putting all my other shit aside and I really, really want to talk to you all and touch deep on a lot of things that I've seen. So we're going to talk about the battleground states. We're going to touch on them states. And if these are your states, I want you to pay attention to these issues. And if these are not your states and you're near them, see and know what's going on. I want you to look at these ballot measures. And I just learned something, y'all, as I was doing research for this show today. I learned something about the ballot measures I didn't even fucking know. And I knew it was a reason for it. So I'm glad I'll get to share that with you all. And then we're going to go into women voting. This year, the midterm elections and the next presidential elections are going to be decided by two types of voters. And guess who one of them are? Women. And so I want to break that down why it's so important for our women, black women, women of color to be out voting. It is so fucking important. And now that I kind of put the pieces together to build this picture for you all, you'll see why it's important 2022 for you all to vote. And then lastly, we're going to get into black voting and why it's important and why for the longest we haven't been able to really go to the forefront about what we want on the ballot measures. And Al Sharpton did a great job of breaking it down alongside his white counterparts. And you can see the frustration on his face because they're trying to make a political point, but Al Sharpton is trying to tell them like, yo. So we're going to get into all of that today. So that's the basis of my show. But as I always do, I want to give y'all a hug so much because I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. I appreciate all of that today, every day, any day, all day. So I know y'all like it. He go on his spiel, but I'm about to do it. So y'all sit back, sip y'all coffee, and let me tell y'all why I'm so glad y'all here with me this morning. So let's go. Yes, indeed. I am so excited and happy for y'all to be here. Not like, it's not nothing new, nothing out of the ordinary, but today in particular, you know why I'm so fucking happy that the crew showed up for me today? Because in spite of everything going on, if I put up a video and a thumbnail of a separate topic, politics, local news, y'all show up and y'all want to engage and we talk about it. That's why I'm like I'm down. I'm here for this shit. I don't gotta talk about. I can talk about whatever I want to, and y'all support me for that. So shout out to the crew. Thank you for that. Thank you for making me feel comfortable this morning, coming down, talking about what I want to talk about, not having to engage in things that I don't need to engage in that ain't gonna benefit you or me. Thank you for pouring into me like that. Thank you, members, and thank you to my moderators. Shout out to y'all. If y'all don't know, if I ain't seen y'all, I've been watching. I see y'all all over the place, and I just want you to know so much. I appreciate that shit. It really put a big smile on my face reading comments and seeing people in chats and stuff, and just seeing what people had to say. So shout out to the dopest subscribers. And if you have not hit that like button already, what are you waiting for? Hit that like button for me. Give me some love. Get me in this algorithm this morning. Y'all know the dealio. And all likes matter. Whether you subscribe to this channel, don't, you popping in for the first time, please hit that like button. Show me some love on this beautiful Monday morning. And listen, I know we've received a lot of new subscribers. And shout out to the new subscribers. Make sure you turn on that notification bell so you know when I drop a video. And if you want to show Roman some love, you can always send me some love at Dollar Roman L. Jackson. Um, $ Roma L. Jackson. And you know, that feeds a nigga breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But it also goes to me supporting and upgrading my channel, little videos, little upgrades, and stuff like that. So I always appreciate it. And I appreciate you for being here with me today. So sit back, relax, and let King Roman update you on what's going on in the world. All right. Now, I typically do this on Fridays, but I was just feeling so compelled this morning to just share this quote. And this is the quote that resonated with me so well. And the time you put in while no one is around will be what sets you apart when everyone is watching. Now, this quote is specific to me today. And if you feel anything in your spirit where you want to take away from it, please do. But this definitely resonates with me. And it feels so good to be able to look at this and totally understand what the fuck this means. The time you put in while no one is around will be what sets you apart when everyone is watching. And that's why I love this platform. Okay. And that's why I love doing what I do, the way I do it, whether it garners massive attention or not. That's what I'm doing it for. Because when no one is watching me and I'm putting the work in, and y'all be like, oh, wow, that is the praise from it, not no rinky dink shit. So thank you for that. I'll post this. I always say I'm gonna post on my community wall and then get busy, but I will share this on my community wall so it can inspire someone today. What up, chat? Good morning, chat. What's up, Ambrosia? Good morning, boo. Thank you for being here and being the first in the chat. Carrie, shout out to Carrie. Carrie, I heard your video yesterday. I heard it, and thank you so much. If anybody understands anything you do, thank you, Carrie. I really do. I appreciate it. I was trying my hardest to be unbiased and not drop down in folks' chat while this conversation was going on this weekend, but thank you so much. You get it. And Pizarro, I heard Pizarro up there. She's like, King Rome, you can do what the fuck you want to. I don't give a fuck. I was like, what? So shout out to Pizarro. Thank you, Pizarro. Thank you. Thank you just for having a conversation and just putting some real points to it. So I appreciate that. I kept checking to see if you were like, oh yeah, I was coming. I definitely was coming. I did a dummy last night. I went to Casablanca's, which is a hookah spot. And it must have been a game on something yesterday because all the niggas and all the bitches was in there. And I told my friend, we got to leave by 12. I got a show in the morning. I got 2 shows in the morning. He was like, all right, bitch, 12 came. We both was like, I ain't ready yet. So I didn't get home till like 2:30 this morning. And I got a little bit of nap in. And then I got ready for the show. So yeah, I was coming. But I had the X takeoff show until tomorrow. So, which is fine. Which is fine. Good morning. Good morning, Ox City. Ox City 805 Queen. Thank you for your support. You already know I see it everywhere. Thank you, Ox City 805 Queen. Jay Parrish. Hey, King Roman was in chat. Have a great week on purpose. High vibes only. That's it. No low vibration over here. We ain't got to do all of that. Oh, this coffee good. Good morning. Good morning, Kings Mina. Yes, grab 3 friends, and if you haven't already, get out and vote. That's all we talking about today. Get out and vote. Good morning, all. A great week awaits us all. Let's get out and vote. That's right, Karen. Good morning to you, boo. That's right. Good morning. Good morning, Hot Spicy Tea. There. Come on. Hey, what up, Hot Spicy Tea? I never vote. It's rigged. I understand. And I hope, Yummy Yums, I really do hope you stay around for the whole show so you can at least hear my last portion of the show because I think I kind of drive it home why it's so important for us. Even if you don't see it in the larger picture, there's something in it when you do vote. So I hope you stick around. And even if I don't change your mind, I just appreciate you being here listening to the commentary. Thank you. And good morning, Yummy Yums. Zach, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We follow and support you. Thank you. And I'll be following y'all and support me down with y'all too. Red Wings Hockey, Brother King, don't let no one get you down. The song is by War. Listen, absolutely. Thank you, Red Wings Hockey. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Journey. Good morning, Red Wings. Good morning. You're one of the most coolest brothers I know, so I'm here. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Doreen is blessed. Good morning. Good morning. And thank you. Shout out to you. Hey, Dr. Pat. Good morning. I'm back on my shh. Okay, Dr. Pat, I'm back on my shh. All right. So the first thing I want to get into today, because it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff we got to go over, and I have to do this in a way that is not going to be so intense. So we're going to talk about the first thing is these battleground states, and it's important to pay attention to the battleground states because they'll let us know what it looks like on a microcosmic level of the other states. So the first one I want to talk about is Arizona. Now, Arizona, these are the folks. You have Carrie Lake. She's a former television anchor. And you have this Democrat incumbent. She's already in office. She's the Arizona Secretary of State. Now, Carrie Lake, her whole campaign is about false elections. All the elections are false. And she's about the border, protecting the border. And she goes one step further by saying she's going to protect the ban on abortions. And Katie Hobbs, the Secretary of State, she's fighting against all of that. The problem here is that they're neck and neck. As of the polling that I saw Friday, was that Friday the 4th, November 4th, they're neck and neck simply because most folks feel like the border is a major thing and crime is and y'all got to pay attention to this keyword crime. We've been missing the whole fucking punch. And this is how Trump got elected. Trump got elected because he touted the things no one was talking about. Right now, you hear abortion, immigration, economy. No one's talking about crime. But when y'all hear what I put together today, you're going to understand why the black vote's so critical. You're going to understand why the Republicans are going to take a lot of seats during this election. You know why? Because every one of them are paying attention to the underlying issue, which is crime. And it's crazy because I was looking at all of this thinking abortion was going to lead, thinking no, half of the voters who are voting are concerned about crime. That's the crazy thing. So what you think Republicans are doing in all of their campaigning? They're staying away from, oh, we're going to talk about immigration. They're talking about crime. And remember I told you stoking fear, getting people scared drives them to the polls. Well, in Arizona, that's what Carrie Lake is doing. She's touting that. I'll be harder on crime. I'll do all these different things. I support the abortion ban. While you got Katie Hobbs, who's the Democrat incumbent, she's resting on her laurels, sort of. So they're neck and neck. We'll see. But if you're in Arizona, get to the polls. Get to the polls. The biggest thing on your ballot is abortion. However, pay attention to crime. I think that crime campaigning will drive people to the polls in your favor. Now, let's move on to Wisconsin. Wisconsin is, this is another one. They have, the current governor, Tony Evers, he's a Democrat. And the Republican, Tim Mitchells, he's a business guy. And so he's been touting, the economy, he's been touting abortion, he's been touting those things. And this is why this race here is a big toss up because Tony Evers is the Democratic governor. However, the Republicans run the state legislature in Wisconsin. So what that means is every time Democrats in the state want to do something to support the governor, the Republicans shut that shit down. And they've been passing so many bills that they're almost getting ready to pass a bill where they put restrictions on voting, where it makes it harder for people of color to vote. And so the Democrats are really trying to salvage and hold on to this last line of defense, which is Tony Evers. unfortunately, it's looking like it's going to be a toss up in Wisconsin between the Tony Evers and Tim Mitchell's. Now, Tony Evers on my side is on my right, and on your side, Tim Mitchell's is on the left. So it'll be a toss up. It'll be interesting to see how Wisconsin plays out on tomorrow after tomorrow night. Now, the interesting state, Pennsylvania. Now, this is so fucking interesting to me. So they currently have a Democratic governor, Tom Wolf, and so their Josh Shapiro is their assistant governor. He's a Democrat, and he's running against this Doug Mastriano. Well, here's the interesting thing: Doug Mastriano is a retired colonel, right? So he running his whole campaign on guess what? Being against gays and transgenders. He also says that it should be a murder for people to go against the anti-abortion laws or go against abortion bans. They should be charged as much as people are charged with murder charges. And so it's so funny because in this race, Josh Shapiro is taking a strong lead, but Doug Mastriano is turning to be out a standout Republican. He has a lot of Republican weight. I think he's using that stoic fear mongering language. And so he's turning out to be somebody of major support. Also, you have Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz? Dr. Oz running in Pennsylvania. And Oprah came and campaigned against him for his opponent in Pennsylvania. And so everyone was like, oh, I said, no, it's more politics than anything. I'm sure they went and had lunch. And she told him, like, I gotta go. I gotta go left, right, or I gotta go right. So I know there is probably something more political at play. Um, I've been taking my daughter back and forth to work for 2 years, not complaining. One of her so-called homies tried to flex on her while it was out. How about she got so pissed she went and bought a new car? Wow, off the crime. Crime. Good morning, darling Sienna. Good morning, Kimberly Black. Good morning. Good morning, Sophia. Good morning. Oh wow, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. That's crime. So Pennsylvania. So you have these two individuals. Now, Democrat Josh Shapiro is looking like he will take the lead in this, as the governor. But we need to pay attention to the fact that this Republican Doug Mastriano is definitely becoming a standout candidate in the state. Because this just only means in this election. What does that say about the next one? Oregon. And it's so weird. Oregon is so weird. So you have three candidates in Oregon. You have Tina Kotek, who's a Democrat. She's currently the Speaker of the House. You have Christina Drazen. She's a Republican. Now she's a Republican challenger, and they haven't had a Republican governor since 1987, the year I was born. I'm 35 years old. So that means since 35 years they haven't had a Republican governor. And then they have this outlier. Her name's Betsy Johnson. And everyone is saying Betsy Johnson is there to siphon votes away from the Democratic candidate, which is Tina Kotek. Now, she doesn't have a huge lead, this unaffiliated person, but she's there. She's taking a voice. And so they're saying it's just to weaken the Democratic challenger so that this Republican candidate can rise to the forefront. Now, it's interesting. In Oregon, their main issues is not about abortion. They already know how they feel about abortion. But their biggest issues are economy, homelessness, and crime. Again, there we go, crime. I want y'all to pay attention to this because I guarantee you in the presidential election, crime will be one of those top 10 things. I promise you that. So we have in Oregon. Now they're saying that Tina Kotek does have a small lead, but as we get closer and closer to the polls, this was Friday, it seemed like that the gap is narrowing. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see tomorrow. Now, Oregon, I really have not paid a lot of attention to, so I really can't tell you what to say about it. But Georgia, so I don't want to say we need to admit defeat on this one, but Stacey Abrams put up a really good fight, not only for herself, but for everybody that came behind her. She really did. She got voters to go to the polls. She helped Biden. She helped Warnock. She helped a lot of people, especially when his election back, I think it was 2020 or 2018. But she has a lackluster performance, unfortunately, and it hasn't gotten better. The biggest thing that's driving folks to the poll there is the abortion rights issue. in Atlanta, in Georgia. We'll watch a video about that a little bit later when we start talking about the black vote. But the biggest thing there is women feeling disenfranchised, like, you're these white men are taking away their rights, their voice, and they're feeling disenfranchised. And so, but that's just not enough for Stacey to win. Um, Brian Kemp is holding a huge margin, double digit margin against her, and we're like a day away. So when it comes to Georgia, I don't think that we are in a position to admit defeat on the governor's race, but I do think we'll see some victory on those state senate seats. New York, my home state. We have Governor Kathy Hochul, who took over for Cuomo when he had to resign, and then you have Lee Zeldin. Now, Lee Zeldin, he is a U.S. rep, and the thing about him is he was a huge Trump supporter. And New York is heavily fucking Democrat. Huge Trump supporter, huge, against abortion, big on that. And so when he decided to run, he decided to distance himself from Trump and say he really would not pursue any laws against abortion. Is that enough to get him in? No. So Kathy Hochul was winning by 18 points in July. She's now up by 7 points. So his big focus has now been on just the economy and crime. You see that, right? Republicans told him, you should just start talking about economy and crime. And so you saw his gap shortening a little bit, but it's not enough. Then we get to Texas, one of the last major battleground states. Now, Texas, you have Beto O'Rourke, who's the Democratic senator, and he's running for the governor office. He's running against Greg Abbott. However, it's a small, but Governor Abbott has a significant lead on this man. The biggest issues down there are immigration, of course, given how close they are to the border, guns, and abortion. What Beto O'Rourke has been trying to do is he's been trying to tell people that Greg Abbott is responsible for busing migrants all over the country. He has a lack of gun control, and that he wants to sue private citizens if they violate the abortion ban. And it's just not enough to stoke that. And so, do I see him succeeding in Texas? I don't, but I do think that you need to stand behind a vote down there, because literally you have a governor who has been taking people out of their own communities under the auspices of relocating you to another state for you to have a better quality of life. And then when they get there, the people there don't even know what's going on. So off of those things, you should just want to go to the polls to make your voice heard, to say, you know what, that was some bum ass shit you did. Let me go ahead and correct, and, right your wrong. Even if it doesn't do anything, it sends a message, and I'll continue to show you why it sends a message. Now let's talk about ballot measures. Now, ballot measures are different state to state. Every state has a different set of ballot measures. Some states have done things that are on ballot measures now well before in the past. And so they're sort of more progressive. A lot of times you see that with California. They put a lot of shit and then states come behind them. And what I learned is that what states and Democrats and Republicans are doing with ballot measures is that they put stuff on the ballot measure to see what stuff will drive people to the polls. And when they find out certain things drive them to the polls, other Democratic states and other Republican states then put it on their ballot measure to drive that same group of people to the polls. And you'll see how I explain that. So, for example, abortion. Right now on the ballot measure, you have 5 states. You have California, Kentucky, Michigan, Montana, and Vermont. Now, of course, California and Vermont are going to go forth with not banning abortions. But you have Michigan. Now, Michigan is a toss up. No one knows if Michigan is going to be for abortions or against abortions. But Michigan, they're saying that if Michigan has this on their ballot and it drives out voters, Democratic voters, because that's a toss up state, then every other toss up state is going to follow and put abortion on the ballot if it drives the Dems to the polls. So for Michigan, they're putting it on the ballot to get Democratic voters to the polls. Now, Kentucky and Montana, here's the problem. So a couple years ago, Kansas put abortion on their ballot measures, and it was rejected. The folks of the state said, no, we want to keep abortion protected here. Well, it's a heavily conservative state. So when other Republicans saw that, they were like, oh shit, let's not put that on our ballot measures, because if it drove those voters to come out, even it's a conservative state. So guess what's happening now? Kentucky has it on its ballot measure. And everyone is saying that if they fail to pass this, it's going to be a huge red flag for Republicans across the board when it comes to abortion rights. And that's heavily driven by women. And we'll get into the women vote. Um, Let me hit this chat. Y'all know I be running my throat. I had to catch the replay. Y'all have a wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. You too. Hey Nate, good morning. I know we're in Nevada. That's the major push is crime. Yeah, crime is a huge thing. You're doing more harm banning abortion. People do it illegally. What do they think will happen to young people who are being molested and forced into unsafe? Absolutely. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Slim Body Benz, what up? What up? Georgia, stand up. Okay, stand up. And these suburban white ladies need to come out and vote against banning abortion, because quiet is kept. They are the main ones that get them. They just listed under other procedures. That's so true. Good morning, my Chapman. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So another big issue on the ballot measure is Medicaid expansion. Now, a lot of these folks don't want to talk about it, because if you expand Medicaid, it then becomes Obamacare. The expansion of Medicaid includes all of the great things that Obamacare has. So they typically say you're expanding it into Obamacare. Well, it's so significant because in South Dakota, it's on their ballot, and this is the last fight over whether 45,000 people in the state of South Dakota can have access to Medicare. Now, out of that population, the biggest is Native Americans. And I said, wow, they have to vote on whether the Native American population can be expanded, because Obamacare included that population. When they rolled back that, it didn't. And so now what they're doing is trying to, include them in. Would it drive Native Americans to the voting polls? Would it drive people, not Native Americans, would it drive people to the voting polls on behalf of Native Americans? And so here's a test. And so South Dakota has it there. They don't actually, there's really don't care one way or the other. There's not like this big push to go and get it done, but it is a part of their ballot measure. So it'd be interesting to see what happens to this group. And that's in South Dakota. It's a heavily conservative state. Now let's get to my favorite. Okay. Can we get to my favorite, which is the marijuana? And let's talk about it, because this is the biggest thing. This is sort of like the new bright, shiny object for every state. And what they want to do with it, it drives voters, it drives young voters, and it drives young business voters to the polls. So every state is taking their turns of putting it on there when they see fit. Some states have done it already. Now what we're seeing is Republican states are now putting it on their ballot measures, because they want them young folks to show up at the polls. So we have Arkansas, Maryland, and Missouri. It's on the ballot measures, and it's likely that it'll approve. Then you have North Dakota and South Dakota, and basically it's they're saying like it's at a 40% of approval this point so far. Um, there's been this huge phenomena of red states wanting to include marijuana on their ballots, and because it brings voters to the polls, and it turns out a good significant amount of young voters. South Dakota is saying that if it gets approved on their ballot, the only thing they want people to do is have possession of marijuana, and you can grow it, but this is not recreation. We ain't opening up a store. So they're still heavily conservative when it comes around it. They're pulling layers off of it, but they still want people to come out and vote. Because when you go and vote for just this, then it's the other things that are on the ballot measure that they pack that they want you to come and support too. So it's been a great way for them to sort of do that. And now we're watching red states do it as a way to get their young voters out. So it's interesting. Then we get into, okay, I said I was going to take me a break. I got break written down. That's perfect at the 30-minute mark. Take me a little coffee break. Resident Psycho, thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. Shout out. Welcome to the crew club. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Hey, Mrs. G. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank y'all for being here this morning. I'm trying to break it down a little bit. So, we basically just covered, we talked about why some of these battleground states, who they are, and what are some of the key issues in the battleground states. And then, I moved over to the ballot measures and what's going on the ballot measures and sort of the three top issues: Medicaid, marijuana, and abortion. Those are some of the three bright, shiny things. And you'll see on your state what it says for Medicaid. Every state is different. I just pulled South Dakota out because I thought it was crazy that we're still in 2022 and y'all talking about voting on whether you're going to give Native Americans health care. Okay. I mean, all right. But next, I know this just spilled all on my paper. Next, I want to get into this, which is the women turnout. Motivated by abortion, women could determine the outcome in Tuesday's midterm election. And it's so true. This is what's really so important for everybody to tune in, is that women actually have more of a shoe in to determine this election than a lot of the other key demographics, and not just because abortion, but because what abortion does. Putting abortion rights up there as a ballot measure, as an issue, it drives them to the polls. And what that does is, because most times women are Democrat leaning, they tend to sometimes lean that way when they get there. And that's a fear factor for a lot of Republicans. So we'll talk about why women um are, might determine midterm elections. But can I? Hey Risa, good morning, Risa, good morning. Shout out to Risa. Thank you for being here. Um, all right. So now here on this little graph, you'll see as the years went on, women started coming out to elections more and more and more. You saw in 2006, it was at a 48.8. And here we are at the 2020 presidential elections, and it's at a 68.4. Now, men, we're straggling a little along. We're coming along behind you. But as you can see, in the gender differences, women are steadily increasing when it comes to going out, getting to the polls, showing up, and voting. That's for a lot of reasons. Educated, more women are going to school. More women are educated. More women are, higher earners in their jobs. They're working up, the ladder in their careers, higher levels of position. All of that allows them that opportunity to show up at the polls and vote for the things that affect them the most, especially, that other demographic, which is the white suburban moms. So then you have this where it shows that women tend to vote Democrat way more than men. Men tend to vote Republican, and I thought that was so crazy. So in a given year, in 2014, you have four more women vote Republican or Democrat than men, where you had 16 more men vote Republican than women. So when we got to the 2020 election, you had 15 more women voting Democrat than men, and you had 8 men voting more Republican than women. So you can see there's always this, they show out, and when they do show out, they lean heavily towards Democrat issues. And so now what we're starting to see is that the Democratic female voter, the base is starting to widen. You're starting to see where it used to be, less and less. It's starting to open up. There's more Asian Americans showing up. There's more Latino Hispanics showing up. Blacks are showing up. More of those white college grad folks are showing up. And these are folks who vote Democrat. And now here's what they were saying when I was reading this article. Notably, there are gains in women's groups that tend to vote Democrat, white college graduates and people of color, and a decline in the group that tends to vote Republican, white non-college graduates. For the first time in a midterm election, the latter group makes up less than 2/5 of the women electorate. And that's a shocker. It typically was those white non-college graduates who was a significant portion of the female demographic voter base. Now it's flipped up. You see more educated people of color coming out as opposed to the other demographic, which is why I'm saying that women do hold a stronghold on this election. Then you have this, and now this might be harder for you to see, but what it is it's showing you at which states where women have the lead as a Democratic voter. And at the top, you have Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Georgia. And so in all of those states, even Wisconsin, women turn out and lean more Democrat than men. And given the fact that you have these neck and neck races, especially in Wisconsin, it's a lot of pressure to get women voters to the poll. It's a lot of pressure to get those young voters to the poll because those are our voters who lean typically with some of the Democratic leaning theories and ideas and stuff like that. Um, and also, what this is saying is that given the recent history of women's support for that party's candidate in national and congressional elections, what it's looking like is that the simulations conducted here make it plain that women's enthusiasm for an issue like abortion can lead to consequential shifts in election outcomes through increases in their voter turnout and support for candidates. And so that's really what is being stoked here. Why you think abortion came up as such a hot topic? And it's so divisive. You have women who are for it, you have some women who are against it. And then when you dig deep into that demographic, what does the makeup of the women who are for abortion ban, what does that look like? And then you look at the other women, the other side of that, and what does that look like? And so now you can see why some of these issues are so, so steadfast, and crime is so low because crime forces you to have to do something. How many Republicans gonna want gun laws and shit? That ain't going back up. That ain't going up for a while right now. Now we're leaning towards something else. Economy will be another one. Economy, inflation, all that good stuff. Um, so I wanted to point that out. Now, here's where we get to the point where I want to talk about that black vote. Um, it's so important. It's so important. It's so important. It's so important. I can't stress that enough. As you see, it's been years and years of us just protecting our right to vote, to have a voice. And when you take it to a lower level in your communities and your home and where you live and your everyday tasks, some of the things that you do freely came from a vote. Now, you may not feel it because you do it every day. You walk around doing it every day. You walk on sidewalks every day, right? We ride our bikes and you people. All of those things came from a vote. Whether you felt it or not, whether you were a part of it, you were. It came from it. So, as a person continuing to move forward and thinking about the people coming behind me, we owe it. We owe it to them. We owe it to our kids. We owe it to ourselves to just make sure that we're making not only because your voice is not just your voice, it's everybody you represent. And when you say we ain't gonna have no voice because I'm not participating in this system, you're not saying that for yourself. You're saying that for everybody that you represent and everything that you stand for. So I go and show up and I vote because I'm thinking about my TT, I'm thinking about my brother. I'm thinking about everything, like how and whether it changes, makes a change or not. It's the fact that I was going to be a part of it. Now, get into these statistics, right? So here's how the voter turnout across the races will look this year. Okay, this is an estimated by the Pew Institute. 67% of voters that show up will be black. 69% of voters that show up will be Latino. 65% of voters that show up will be Gen Z, millennials, and younger votes. But get this, 95% of voters that show up will be white college graduates. And of that, 55% of them are Democratic leaning. Okay? 95. So a lot of the shit that we do, taxes and all kind of shit, and we always put the blame on them and they. It's because we don't show the fuck up. We don't turn out. 67% of voter turnout are blacks. You got Latino at 69%. You have the Gen Z population at 65%. We have to do better. Not for us, for them. For them. We got to do it for them. These people who stood in those lines before us, who made it possible for us. I'd be damned if I turn my back on them. So that's why you got to show up. Midterm, presidential, all of those elections, you got to be there. You got to be there because, yeah, they ain't going to do nothing. It's going to be stolen. Yeah. But your voice, that number, when you draw a picture of how many people in totality came out and voted that represent that black population, that fucking number goes up. And we start getting counted and looked at differently. As we continue to not show up and not do our part, that number drops and drops and drops. As the more Latinos become educated and accepted in the community, Asian Americans get accepted in the community, their voter turnout and going to the polls will increase. But for us, for some reason, we do feel disenfranchised, and that's for a lot of reasons. But we have to know it's so important for us to show up. And I'm gonna play a video for you all. But let me explain to you why I'm gonna play this video. Because see, when we don't show up to the polls, they don't know what our issues are. They don't know what struggles that we find to be huge. They don't know what we don't care about because we don't show up. And when we do, it's so minute in numbers that it doesn't cause that impact we need. That's why we really got to show up. And Al Sharpton sat down and said it the best. Y'all got my timestamp? Yeah. Now, in this video, it's a 2-minute clip, but y'all gotta watch it. If I ain't play nothing else for y'all gotta listen to this man. For so many years, including Black Lives Matter, we told people crime in our own communities, that's not the problem. It's police brutality. It's the white man against the black man. But when you peel that shit back and you start looking at our communities, it's crime. And you know what they don't want to put on ballot measures? Crime. Because what's going to drive us to the polls? Crime. And Al Sharpton said it the best. He said, we're not showing up because there ain't nothing on there that represents us. We're not at the table. And until we get to the table to get shit on that ballot measure that look like what we care about, it's going to always look like this. That's why you got to vote. So y'all get into this clip. Get into this man. He really, for me, it was a really good, nice little segue of what's going on this level. Let me see. Violent crime. Do I got the timestamp? Oh shit.
About voter rights, but what about?
All right, y'all. Give me a second. Y'all get into this for me, please.
This Pew poll comes out yesterday that shows among Democrats, 85, I believe it's 85% of black voters pick crime as a top issue. 81% of black Democrats say crime is a top issue. And look at that, white voters, it says 56% of white voters, but in the Democratic Party, only 33% of white Democrats. And this explains so.
I gotta stop. Do y'all see the statistic? Do you see that? It says that. Did you see what that just said to us? It says that of the Democratic base, 81% of us black voters think that violent crime is an issue, while 33% of white Democrats don't see it as an issue. So we don't get to see that shit on the ballot. We don't talk about all that shit. Gun laws, gun. And that's in our own Democratic Party. That's why you got to go out and vote. Fuck them niggas. That's why I tell you, yeah, I'm affiliated in a party, but I vote on what I know to be true, what I like, what I see. And this right here goes already to tell you. That's why you got to show up and show out. Because even in your own party, sometimes they're watering down your issues because they know that let them put on a fucking ballot measure crime in a neighborhood. It needs to be funded more in a neighborhood or some shit on the ballot measures. How many of us going up is showing up and showing out? Bitch, I'm there. But they don't want to do that because they know what that does. It disenfranchises the population and it allows another certain group of people to elevate. And so you get this, and then you get defund the police. Don't get me started on that dumb shit. Who you think started defund the police? Who the fuck you think started pushing Y'all should start defunding the police. Get the police out your communities. Are you kidding me? Are you nuts? The fuck? I'm not for no defunding the police.
So much of what you've been trying to tell us and teach us for 2 years, that white woke latte liberals sit in Park Slope and say, oh, don't talk about crime, that's racist. Well, you say everybody in the congregation is telling you crime's a top issue.
Everywhere I've gone this year, and you know I preach at different congregations
Right.
every Sunday because my ministry's national with National Action Network. That's all people talk to me about. Reverend, we get it about police reform. We get it about voter rights. But what about crime? Why aren't you talking about that?
And there we go, my people. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. The issues. And when you go to your ballot measures, I want you to look and see what on there relates to you, that stokes you. And then of those other topics that you see on your ballot measures, if they don't apply to you, if it don't affect you, if you don't have you need to be looking at all that shit. Because what we don't see are the issues that affect us on our ballot measures, and it don't drive us to the polls, and we don't want to go. But what you don't know is that that's the very thing they don't want us to do, is to go vote. They don't want you to go do it because they know I'm telling you, I'm a numbers guy. I deal with percentages all the time. I literally deal with pies and charts all the time. When you can tell people a narrative all the day. When you put that motherfucking pie chart up on the screen to show them 80% of black people, when they came to show up, they voted for this. It changes a lot. We're together. I saw this quote that said that the only thing white people have against black people is organization. They can organize. They can get together around stuff. We, for some reason, and there's a lot of reasons behind it. Institutional, systematic, a lot. But I'd be a fool to sit here and tell you that you as an individual, you on the replay game, you crew sitting down here, everybody listening to me, that your vote doesn't matter. Baby, when I tell you it does, it does. You just don't see it right now, but it does. It does in the long run. Can you imagine white people having that same that mentality? Our vote don't matter, so we're not going to show up. What do you think that does to everybody else's vote? Their vote matters. Oh, their stuff matters. So how do you keep those silos down? By telling them or having people think that you shouldn't go to the polls. I'm telling you, you should. You smoke weed, you a weed smoker, you should be at the motherfucking polls. If that's what gets you to the poll, you go to the fucking polls. Are you on Medicaid? Is your have you had Obamacare and they took it away and now you're missing benefits? You should be at the fucking polls. What do you mean? That ain't gonna affect you. So you rather go without and have no resolve than to see at least I fucking voted. You can't change history, but you can change that moment you're in. So when history tells itself, you were a part of it. When history comes next week, when we talk about the midterm elections, Roman gonna be like, shit, I told y'all, I said it, because I'm going to be a part of that. I'm going to make sure my people know. I'm going to make sure we're pulled along. So go vote. Go do that. Don't go do it. This Al Sharpton man, he's old as fuck. And you see all these pictures I have? I saw this picture of him. I said, look at this man been out here for a long time, protect our right to vote. I would have been out there front lines, protect our right to vote. So it's very critical, y'all voting for the white man, ain't nothing gonna change. We said that about a lot of shit. Now we got record, weed is legalized. Now all of a sudden he's commuting sentences for people who went to jail over small. That took time. They was trying to start that shit well in the late 90s. That took time. And though it took years and years, how many black people and us had to be a part of that vote to make that shit happen? It takes time. So if you want to make a better future for your younger black folks and you want us to have better opportunities and generational wealth, because that's all I'm about. I'm about generational wealth. Fuck that shit. I'm so sick of us not having that generational wealth where when my child comes out, they ain't worried about shit. They, falling in line like everyone else. Then you need to go vote because it may not change nothing today, but that number tells a story to the next campaigner or candidate running for office. Like, so what were the hot issues that were voted on the last election? They look at this shit. It's called polling results. data. This is how Trump won. He took data and he looked at it. Okay, what were the low-hanging fruit issues that if I turned them upside down, they became explosive? And that's what he did. All those uneducated white voters, he stoked them. And here we are, we can't even, stoke our uneducated black voters. For the life of me, we can't. And a lot of that is because they're silencing that under crime is police brutality. Well, we know police brutality, and let us deal with that. We thought Black Lives Matters were going to do that, but we need to do this another way. Gun laws, oh, that goes away. Okay, all right, we're gonna talk about that. But we hear about RICO, we hear about them taking out gangs and all that shit. So you don't want to be a part of the planning behind that, but you want to see them take our black men and women and all of this out of the communities. I'd be a fool if I come down here and do a show every morning about local news and all this shit happening in all these communities, and I'm not talking about y'all need to go vote too. You got me confused. Arizona was just about to tell us that we couldn't record within 8 feet of fucking police. I came down here talking about like, yo, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but Arizona stand the fuck up. Arizona stood the fuck up. They removed that shit. They couldn't go nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. That's what we need to be seeing. It's hard, but we got to do it. You got to talk about it. You got to be overly political. Everything's a political moment and oh God and But when it's time to get down to the vote, just do your thing and walk away. Yeah, I did it, but just because I'm telling you now, you may not think about it, but when you're 50 and 60, this shit's gonna matter. Well, because you will hate to hear when you're 60, yeah, they voted on retirement age, not moving it up or back in 2022. Did you vote? But it's affecting you now. How that work? Get on, man. Let me finish this because I could go all day about that.
So I didn't get this out of some great study. I got this from people I'm talking to, real people.
Yeah.
And Reverend Michael Walron, outstanding minister in Harlem, said this woke analysis of we don't want police comes from privileged people.
Right.
Because people that are not privileged need people on the ground to deal with carjackings, deal with home invasions, deal with they can't walk to the subway. They get on the subway landings and stand back because they're afraid of being pushed in front of trains. This is a daily reality. There are women and men getting ready for work right now that are afraid to go to the subway station, right now afraid to walk. Right. That's not exaggerating, that's explaining. And if we don't address that, we're not really dealing with the masses we claim to speak for.
Right. Who they claim to speak for, and they don't even know. And Willie, how often do we hear
annoyed? Now let me tell you why he got annoyed right there. Because see, he's making a point. This is what happens all the fucking time I see it on these shows. Al Sharpton is making a point about the black folks. He's specifically saying, I don't give a fuck about Pew and all these people doing their research. I sit with black people in these congregations. I talk to them. They tell me what their issues is. They're more worried about walking to their cars after church than the fuck they are about some police brutality and all that shit. They ain't worried about that. These are upstanding citizens who ain't doing shit, who getting robbed and shit. But what do they want to do? They want to turn it on the fact that, well, you see the white Democrats, they're all for this, while you got Republicans who kept saying that. We don't give a fuck about what you're saying about. I don't give a fuck about how you trying to phrase a Democrat and a Republican on your news show right now. What I'm telling you is that black people are for this. How you take it and perceive it, that's up to you. And I was sitting here watching his face. I saw his face. I was like, going to say, I wish I could just insert a bitch for him right there, bitch, because that's what he wanted to say. Oh, let's finish this.
That's just a GOP talking point. That's racism. When in fact, you can go back to the Black Lives Matter marches when some of these woke white politicians were talking about defunding the police. I remember a New York Times article from 2020, and representatives from Park Slope were talking about defunding the police, while representatives, people of color from parts of Brooklyn and the Bronx were saying, defund the police. We need more police in our schools. We need more police in our streets. The truth has been there for Democratic leaders to hear for a couple of years. The truth has been there. If they would only talk to the representatives of the people who are on the front lines in this surge in crime, and instead they say, well, don't believe your lying eyes. We have data point that shows it's safer than it was in 1979.
And that's the thing. That's how you're got. We're hidden behind this data that it really ain't crime. You know, it really is the gun laws. It really is, you know, police brutality. So the black people are, get this picture, y'all. Picture it. Sicily, 1963. Black people are sitting here telling you it's crime. I even say it's crime. You know, there are times when I'm only walking my dog at night in our Four Corner Park over here because it's heavily lit because of crime. I'm black. But we, on the flip side, we should get rid of the police department so we can kill each other more, so there can be more crime. No, that's not the story that's being told here. And we don't see that shit on the ballots, y'all. And because we don't see it on the ballots, it drives some voters not to go out because they feel like they're not represented. They're not counted. They're not talking about my issues, what's going on every day in my household. You know why? Because we're not electing the officials in those seats so they can talk about it. And every time you don't vote, you're taking a vote away from one of our black counterparts or one of our people. They need when I say all lives matter, all lives matter. When we say every black vote matter, every black vote matter. Now, if you vote in Republican or Democrat, do your thing, but you need to make a voice heard. We need to be able to, at the end of the day, pull out a piece of paper and say, all right, not 67% of blacks voted, but at least 80% of blacks voted. I mean, that's a very low number. Spread across America, 67%. We could do a lot better than that, especially given the fact that they're not even having our issues at the forefront, y'all. They're not even talking about shit that matters to us. They put LGBTQ issues up on ballot measures before they'll put a black issue on a ballot measure. Why? Because they know that'll turn out voters. But they won't put our shit on there. You have to get to the vote. If you want to see change, it's small change. You got to do that shit. You have to. You really have to be a steward for not only your future, but your children's future. Who's coming behind them? You have to. And I be thinking about it in terms of me having a child. Like, I be damn, you know, I'm gonna try to make something better. Well, I remember I could be able to have stories. I remember I voted for it. I don't know, you know, or we made that change. I'm going to be a part of that, and I want my people to be a part of that. That's why I titled it "Black Vote Strong." Like, we really need to be strong, not only this election but next election. My people, for real, for real. Key demographics: women, young. Black men, young. We need to show up. We really do. Our ancestors, our older, you know, folks they need us. They need us to show up. We need to show up. Fuck it. You know, gotta show up. Gotta vote. You got Stacey Abrams, who made it possible for motherfucking folks, Democrat, to get elected so close. She made it fucking possible for Biden to get elected in Atlanta. She did that shit. And now she's staggering behind, lackluster performance. We now switching on her, ain't gonna show up in Atlanta. Are we losing our hoots? What are we doing? Yeah, Warnock, he bright, shiny, he got the thing on, but we can't forget Stacey. Yeah, you can't forget her, because the alternative is a lot worse. So yeah, let's continue.
Yeah, it's incredibly condescending, and it gets to a point that our buddy Anand Giridharadas writes about in his new book, where he says, don't tell people what's important to them. They'll let you know what's important. Don't tell them, no, crime's not important. No, the border's not important. Here's what's actually important. That's how you lose voters. And as Rev knows, the mayor of this city where we are right now, Eric Adams, was elected because quality of life and crime were the number one issues to voters in this city. He's a former 24-year New York City cop, but he did come in, Rev, saying, we're not defunding the police. We need to make the police stronger while making the reforms that need to be made.
And he was an ex-cop, and everyone knew it and voted for him because they figured he could handle it. And it's not.
Uh-oh. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? So are we hearing Mayor Eric Adams got elected into his office, not because of all the other shit we heard about him, because people in that community felt he was an ex-police officer, he knew crime, and he could protect them. Uh-oh. Regardless of the fact that he's black. Uh-oh. Is that something? Did that drive us out to go support him? Because we knew he was going to take care of crime. We trusted him. You see? That's what we got to do. That is a clear picture of what we got to do. Who do you trust? I trust you. I like you. Or I ain't really jiving with the shit you saying. The motherfucker in Pennsylvania talking about something he against gays and trans. Yeah, bitch, you automatically off my list. But see, if that black vote don't show up and count that, what good does it make? Your vote sitting out here somewhere. It ain't even a part of our collective. But you want to have the room to complain about black issues and black things and black life and black culture, and you can't do this and I can't do this and I've been held down on this. But you don't participate in the black democratic process where we need the most participation. Like what? Like, huh? A nigga like me, 900 to 1,000 out of his paycheck every 2 weeks going to FICA and all these other fucking things to pay for social services for other people. You think I'm not finna fucking vote? You think I'm not about to go and make my voice heard? I told y'all I be walking like like the police are hired by me. I treat them like that. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. When I walk my sidewalks and shit, and I be seeing extra leaves and oh, do you think I don't call the city? I do, because this is my y'all taking money out. I do. We gotta instill that, and I don't know why we feel like them the white people let them deal with it. No, bitch. I call them in a heartbeat. I don't know when y'all came and picked garbage up, but somebody got this goddamn couch in front of our fucking building. What's up? It's gonna sit here the whole weekend. We'll get somebody out. Thank you. You need to have that. You go right down to the polling place with that same attitude. Think I don't. I be in there. I be waiting in my line. Shit. I'm here. Hey. It's almost like I'm proud. Like I'm representing my people. I can do it everywhere else. Hold up. I heard somebody telling me one time before, a short period ago, that how you gonna want the benefits of something, but you ain't. How you gonna want to date something, but you want the benefit only for the benefits? How you gonna want to be black, but only for the benefits of being black, but you don't want to participate in making us a whole solid culture? What? Foolishness. It's foolishness. Then you got people like Al Sharpton, old as he is, still out here fighting for our cause because we, as a people, haven't owned some of this shit. Now, it isn't all our fault. Some is systemic. Florida making it difficult for people to go to the polls. Yeah, it is systemic, but you need to get your ass there as hard as. Remember, people couldn't vote before the Voters Right Passage Act, the voting passage. Come on, y'all, it's too early. It's too early for this. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Before that was they weren't voting. They had to go through all that shit. So now we got the right, and so now we're here. We need to do something, especially in South Dakota. Our Native American counterparts, they need fucking Medicare. I'll be damned if I'm down there and you talking about 45,000 people are on the hold for a Medicare for a vote at the ballot measure. Oh shit! What are we doing? What are we doing? Now, what's going on? This is about to be the last part of it.
Because we're seeing in red states crime is high.
Right.
Oklahoma has a higher crime rate than New York.
Right.
So, I mean, this isn't not just that the liberals, it's everybody has become tone deaf to their talking points rather than the reality of what people are living with every day.
Every day.
It's a very big issue, and we're going to have the very latest from all the battleground states with 6 days to go until.
All right, now that we watched that, I kind of tried to walk you through our battleground states where we know we need to show the fuck up at, even in your state, but where you need to push your friends to show up at. Then I went into what are the measures, the ballot measures that are key to driving us to the motherfucking polls. Abortion, get your ass out there. Medicaid, get your ass out there. Marijuana, get your ass out there. If you don't, even if you don't support one or two of those things, one of those things should be a reason you're going to the polls. One of those things impacts our lives. Abortion impacts my life. It absolutely does. I got family and female friends and shit like that. It impacts my life. Medicaid absolutely does. I have family who's on fucking Medicaid who had their Obamacare benefits snatched from them. In all different states. I got a auntie, my TT. Now she got good health insurance, but I don't know what the future holds. I'd be damned if they start fucking those benefits up. Then we got marijuana. Now Maryland already is like, we up for it. It's been booming for the Maryland economy. They literally brought in $1 billion last year just in what was it, over the last 5 years, actually going from medical to medical sales to now moving to recreational marijuana. So it's definitely a money changer for communities. Here's the thing. I wouldn't be Roman if I didn't say this. Don't only just look at that. Where are they putting that money at? Are they putting it into an education fund like the tobacco industry has, or are they siphoning it off into some unrestricted government tax or giving it back to people? Look at that too. Yeah, you gotta dig deep. We gotta be smart because they do the same thing. I do too. Good thing for Maryland, they're turning some of the funds into the education system, similar to what New York State is doing, what the tobacco industry is doing. They go back to promoting healthy smoking habits and hiring professionals and all that good stuff. I'm down for that. Yeah, I'm down for it because they shouldn't be smoking weed at that age anyways. I can honestly say I wasn't doing it at under 18 or under 21 either. I was a late bloomer. So I would want that for my future. So we went into the ballot measures, and then I wanted to talk about why it's so important for our women, not just any women, our Black women to show up. We need y'all. They're putting shit out because they want y'all to show up, but not y'all Black women. They want educated white women and non-educated white women to show up. But I need our Black women to show up. This abortion stuff, it matters to you too. Yes, it does. Don't think it don't. It does. Daughters, aunties, you never know who come along in your family, and the decision that you made to not vote, the mere fact that you didn't want to participate could be a big issue. So show up. And I wanted to show y'all that the electorate is changing, that women are starting to come out to the polls, but we need our Black women to make that electorate change more too, because them Asians and them Latinos are definitely showing up. So let's show up, let's show up. And then we walked into the predictions of the voter turnout race, and that 67% of Blacks are showing up this year. Only 67%. While you got 69% of Latinos showing up. What's up? What's up? 67, 69? Yeah, it's a 2% difference. 2% too much for me. Show up. But here's the killer. We be quick to tell them, bitch, I beat your ass. You ain't gonna do nothing to me, bitch. I'm more of an American than you are. We quick to do that. Y'all go down over there. We quick to do all of that. But they quick to go to the polls, though. They quick to show up, though. You see what I'm saying? All that ego and bravado we got just being Black, yeah, it's cute. But how far are we going with it? You got to do this shit. And I'm not trying to make people a political junkie. I'm not trying to make people be like all about it. But I just want you to know that you have a responsibility too. Because if you don't, these motherfucking Latinos are. Y'all don't see what's going on in LA? They are. Then you have 95% of white voters, eligible voters in America, going to show up. Only 5% of them are not showing up. I mean, we know some of that is systemic. We know that. But good goddamn. So how do you complain when you see 95% of them showing up and only 67%? You better go take 2 and 3. You better make it a girl's trip or a guy's trip. Go to brunch and let's go vote. Y'all ready to go vote? Let's go vote. Let's go vote. Let's go vote. Sticker time. Get your sticker and do your little picture. Make it cute. Make it fun. This ain't got to be, your job give you time off to go vote. Exercise your right to vote. And then we moved into why it's so critical for us to vote, which is because they're not putting our issues on the ballots because they know we won't show up. You got to show up whether or not our issues on the ballot, because that's when they're going to start saying, okay, so black people voted for that too? Oh, shit, bitch. We'll come up with something they ain't going to show up for. Because it's been working. Not with me, though. Ever since I've been able to vote, I've been marching my heavy. Cook County, I was out there. Monroe County. Baltimore City County. I'm here. I'm here, baby. 10 toes down. What? Who I need to vote for? Who? And bitch, if I don't know who they are on a card when I go in there, because you know they got a lot of people, you don't know who they are. I go with my party. Typically, I go with my party. But most of the times when I'm going and I'm waiting in line, I'm Googling every motherfucking thing. That's great time to waste time. Great time to waste time looking it up. And you can do the same thing. Just show up. And so we got into that, and Al Sharpton gave us a great synopsis of what happens. See, when we don't show up, they don't put our issues on the ballot, y'all. We don't get to talk about how we hate the crime too. They think we just perpetrators of the crime. They think we like this shit, like we want to live in it. Because we not showing up to vote for it. You got to show up to vote for that shit. So they know, no, nigga, we just like y'all. We don't want crime too. Take them niggas out. Yes. But they don't know that. They group us all together. We're all criminals in their mind because, you know, we want to defund the police. Well, not me. I saw that. If I saw it on the ballot measure, I'd be the first motherfucker to say no. Are you kidding me? I don't want criminals either. But they don't know that. You got to show up for your brother or your friend. All of those people. You got to show up. And so then I want to get into this last video. And I want to thank y'all. Thank you for being here. Like, no, for real, for real. Thank you. This is a very serious topic today, and I really wanted to talk about it. And y'all definitely showed up for it. And I wanted to get these across because I feel like we have to just do more than just talking the talk and being fancy and labeled and decadent. You know, you have to actually go out there and put the work in and actually show up. And I want us to show up. I genuinely want us to show up. So now this last video that I want to show you all is specifically related to Black voter turnout. And this guy is going to break down how Black voter turnout has looked so far in early voting across America. And I'm playing it last because I want this to be a wake-up call to you all. After giving you all these facts, giving you all some of these details and stats, and then getting this information, why won't you go vote? Why won't you go show up? Why? So check this one out. And please make sure y'all hit that like button. I'm sorry. Please make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. All that good stuff. Let me drop. All right. Thank y'all for being here. Let me check out some of these comments too. Oh, baby. Voting matters. Yes, it does. In point, Trump's election caused the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Yes, it did. Truly ready to switch to working family instead of them or okay. Listen, I go in there like, what are you? It says Democrat, but we'll see on the outside of my voting because I truly go with what matters to me. I'm not like that. Good morning. Good morning, TK. Thank you for coming through our early voting in Georgia. We are changing things around here. Okay. Good stuff. Thank you, Six Girl. Thank you. Our votes matter. Biden is in office off the backs of Black women. You better speak on it. And we can't show up. We better show up. Not just the presidential election. We need to show up on all of them. For real, for real. It's so sickening. So sickening. Hey, Bubbles. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. You got that? Picture it. I love me some Sophia. It's sad that we are still in this space, you know. And I will call the police. Especially, you know, you see some shit not in my community, bitch. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, I be on it. I am one of those neighborhoods. I am the one. When I get my home, be looking out the window. I know this bitch is not. I am. That's me all day long. Because I feel like if I invest in something, my money's in something. I own that shit. I want it kept up. I want it good. I want it clean, respectable. It's my property value, you know. Listen, Stacey and the grassroots campaign turned George people. Keep hope alive. Yeah, it did. Defunding the police movement was a knee-jerk reaction. Like, defund the police for real, for real. Zap. Good morning, Zap. Yes. I'm so serious about it. He embarrasses Georgia. He's 68, still Sharpton. Oh, yeah. He's 68? Oh, man. Family and friends. Bubbles. I didn't even see what was coming. Defunding the police movement was a knee-jerk reaction to police brutality. Haha, I just saw Miss Deanna Irvin live and dragging you. Gotta catch the replay, King Roman. Have a great day, Dr. Pat. Thank you for coming through. Take my youngest son vote to vote tomorrow for us. Oh, hey, that's what I'm talking about. Get a sample ballot and look up candidates in these local ordinance on the ballot. There you go. That's absolutely a good idea. Get a sample ballot. And when I was in middle school, elementary school, our teachers, and school is so different nowadays, but in my classes, our teachers would talk to us about it and show us ballots and talk about the ballot measures. I remember my global studies teacher. I hated her, but she always came in and talked about this stuff. I love King and Support Down. Just saw that real quick. Something to watch later. Yes, he's 19. Hit the like. Hit the like. Thank you. Please hit the like. Good morning, Brick Girl. Thank you for coming through. Stay connected and stay involved all the time. Baby, my mama been having me running folk down with Democratic papers since the 90s at the polls. Just Erica, too. Good morning. I just voted Friday. I got my sticker. Okay. Sticker team all day long. Sticker down. Me too, looking out the window. Deanna is not Dragon King Roman. She is unwilling. Oh, I was like, I'll have to do it after this live. The funniest one was the Trump election. I gave out free t-shirts. Baby. Oh man. When I was pledging my fraternity, voting, know your right to vote is like alpha. We do alpha campaign. And, part of it is getting people to vote, registering them to vote and doing all that stuff, or voter registration drive. And I remember just having to plan programs and shit around it and really entice people to want to go and vote and shit. But at that time, it was different because Obama was bubbling up around 08, 07. And I was in Chicago. So we met. Obama came to our school. This is when he was a senator out there. And he was just a regular skinny guy. I didn't think nothing of it. Just, showed up as an alpha representing the frat at the event. And girl, a year later, this black man is running. I was like, when? And I told you all about my mentor, my white mentor. What up? We talked the other day, had a good conversation. We on some good footing right now. What up? What up? What up? He took me to a donor event where Obama was there. We took a picture. I've been looking for my picture. My picture with Obama. It's on his phone. And I got to get a charger for us. It's an old flip phone. This was the old days. And I got to get a charger to get it off of there. But I took a picture with him. We all was there. And then next year later, this man became president out of Chicago. This shit was amazing. So you want to be part of those moments, right? Like you want to be excited about that, but you can't if you're not a part of it. You got to be a part of it. Thank you, JP. Welcome to the crew club. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, read the heart, read. Hey, love, rock the ball. I have a shirt with your boo Nikki on it. I'm coming through. Badass shirts. Them shirts is dope. Okay, you know how many people want that white king shirt I have? I said, it'd be different if they weren't my friends, Reed. I just don't want my friends in my circle with the same shit on. But it goes up. Thank you so much. And shout out to Reed. And Reed, thank you for your support this weekend too, boo. Thank you. Whether you know how it goes. Thank you. Genuine as hell. For real, for real. Working post 20 years. Hope to see more of us. Yeah. And the older you get, like I'm young now, but the older I get, I think I progress into doing more stuff like that, like working the polls. Because now I want to go and be an activist. Like I damn near be wanting to go down to DC and stand on Capitol Hill sometime, but not right now. No, not while Biden's in office. Because I'm too mad at Biden, so I'll be down there yelling at Biden. Read. I don't play about Read my boo. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out because I like them shirts. Yep, one of my sisters got a photo with Obama, and as soon as you walk into her home, you see it. I got to get my photo. I'm gonna get my photo. All right, y'all. Let me play this last video so y'all can understand what our turnout has looked like so far across America. You'll be stunned. Let me cue this up.
static, but the turnout has not.
Cornell, you mentioned this earlier, but as we know in Georgia and some other states, there are new voting laws taking effect this cycle that Democrats have said amount to voter suppression, targeted specifically at Black voters. So how do you factor that into Democrats' chances this cycle?
If you keep making it harder to vote, eventually you're going to have less people vote. And that's what you see. And look, Georgia has been ground zero for that. And look, if going back to the last election and even the last midterm, we saw that African Americans on average had longer waits and had more difficulty voting than did their white counterparts. And what you see is the state legislature making it harder, but not only in states like Georgia, but also in states like Florida, where the viral video of the African American who's being confronted by the elections police, I guess it is meant to intimidate. And look, I think it's going to backfire. I think that Republicans think that they can intimidate and scare African Americans away from exercising their political power. I think is going to backfire. And I know at least one organization that I work for is actually going to use that footage of the voting police going after African Americans to use it to mobilize African Americans. So ultimately, I think it will backfire.
Cornell Belcher, Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
So I was trying to pull up the video of that voter who was by the police, but I don't even have it pulled up. But y'all get the gist of it, that they're making it harder and harder for us to go vote at these polls. And the more and more we resist it, the more and more we fall into the trap. So it's almost essentially like what you're saying. They're not doing that for us, of course, because you're not showing up. So let's show up. Let's go vote. You got some of the ideas. You know what's going on, what it looks like across the world right now. Yes, it looks like more Republicans are going to take home more seats this midterm election. That's always the practice in a presidential cycle. Typically, the president, he's elected in his first 2 years. The Republicans hate him, so they're campaigning hard. And typically, America hates the president in the first 2 years because they're doing things to either undo some shit or redo some shit. And that turns people upside down. So you expect in the midterm elections to lose some seats to the other party. But what we're going to see is that we're going to lose some key seats. That's going to push some key legislation that's going to probably be on the alternative side of what we want. So we got to go show up. We got to go show up and make our voice heard and our voice count. And that's all I really had to say. That's it. That's all I had to say. Shout out to the crew. Thank y'all for being here this morning. Couldn't tell me nothing. My man just bought me a Cricut and a sublimation printer, baby. I was making all kinds of stuff. Thank you, Miss Toby. Shout out to Miss Toby. Thank you for coming through. I'm so mad at Biden. What a disappointment. Kind of expect him to be a disappointment, though. Just, I think age has a lot to do with it. I think he doesn't have the drive of someone who might, I don't know. He just seems like he's always off out there somewhere. That blazer is everything he has on. Okay, didn't them two men show up? I saw him when I first watched the whole thing. He was up there just poised. Well, what I actually believe, I said, one day, Cornell Belcher is smart. I always watch him on the morning shows. Isn't he? Yes. I'm going to have to read all that when you're done. This was good. Thank you, Just Erica, too. Politics so draining. It's too much of a game, but we got to see it through, y'all. All right, y'all. Please hit that like button. I'm about to get out of here and get my day started. Thank you for being here. Go vote. Tomorrow, when I come live, I'm probably going to do hot topics, but a good significant portion of that show tomorrow in the morning will be election coverage because we want to definitely see people get out to the polls. Get out to the polls. Get your I Just Voted sticker. Post it, put it up. That inspires other people too. I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna put it on my community wall. Get your post-it, get your sticker, and let's do this. Let's do this election again. Crew, news crew, and crew. We got the news crew where we focus solely on the news, and then we got the crew where we just do it all: hot topics, local news, beef sector, whatever. News crew and crew. I just want to say thank you so much for everything. Thank you for making this comfortable for me. I literally came down here and I fucking love it. Thank y'all for being here. I ain't going nowhere. We did a whole show on some real good stuff. And thank y'all for staying tuned in. Catch me on the flip side. I'll be live tomorrow in the morning with some hot topics. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to all the content creators who showed me love this weekend and showed me love. And shout out to everybody who sent me cash apps. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. And until next time, crew, until next time, make sure y'all hit that like button. Deuces.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for being here this morning.
Let's go, let's go. Ow, let's start this show. King Roman News gonna come right through. Gonna give you that news just like you know he can do. Hot topics in your face, baby. King Roman knows his place, baby. King Roman News.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
6:30 a.m. Eastern time, baby. He's gonna come right on time with the news just for you. Celebrity news, politics, and local news just for you. King Roman News.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday,
Let's go, let's go. Hey, let's start this show. King Roman News, coming just for you. King Roman News, coming just for you. 6:30 Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. King Roman News, King Roman News.
Let's start this show. Let's go.